Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Make Believe. I am Ren, and you are watching Tales of Make Believe, a Twitch interview show for role players to share their stories, their adventures, close the gaps between all of our loosely entwined communities, and to show folks new to the hobby or curious about it that TTRPGs and LARPs can be for everyone. I'm here tonight with some really exciting guests. I want to make fun of myself because it is not tonight. It is 9:53 a.m. because work schedules. I'm here this morning with my crew from the podcast Heroes of the Hydian Way, which is a Star Wars FFG system actual play that I've been playing in for almost 2 years now. I went yesterday morning into my chat logs with Christine to figure out precisely when it was that I joined Heroes of the Hydian Way, and you messaged me inviting me on the 12th of October, so 3 days.
Yeah, that it matches up. You're just making me feel, I guess not old, but just like time has just flown by. So that means then, Nicole and I have lived together for 2 years, and
true.
Yeah, well, that kind of takes me back to, I remember I was walking on there's like this little perk in this track when I was messaging you because I was trying to get in my post work walk back before I was a second shifter.
Our first recording session with all of us was November 4th, so
Wow,
it's almost the 2-year anniversary of joining Heroes.
That has no meaning. I'm sorry. I love you, but
in any case, I have been podcasting with this crew of folks, minus a couple people who are currently working. Sorry, everyone. For almost 2 years now, and it has been pretty amazing. I jumped in in the middle of their second series where they were using the Edge of the Empire system. We've since ended that storyline, and now we're in the middle of the Force and Destiny series, season?
Series 3?
Series 3, yeah. We're just finishing up Act 1 of 3? Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, we're really good at tangents, and Ben and Christine are very good at editing those tangents out and putting them to the end for the blooper reels for the podcast Heroes of the Hydian Way, which, if you type in !heroes into the chat right now, you can get all of the links to where you can find all the information about our podcast. Incidentally, I didn't actually say their names. I'm here with Christine and Leslie and Ben. Ben is the GM for our game, and we, along with the two folks, David and Brandon, are, heroes of the Hydian Way, alternating intermittently, etc.
generally existing together.
But before I get into letting everyone talk and having a good time about all of our various memories, role-playing in a galaxy far away together, I do have to thank a couple of people. And not hit my microphone.
It's okay, you'll edit and post.
I will, actually.
Yeah, makes it feel more organic.
They know me for smacking my microphone.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
We don't know anybody else that ever does that.
I need to install it when I move, which I'm doing
Sure.
pretty soon. I want to install it so that it's actually coming down from the ceiling, so that I have all this flailing space, because I need it. I need the flail space.
That actually is really nice. Mine's attached to a clothing rod.
Yeah, I've been toying around with the idea of how to get mine to do that too.
What was I saying? Right, I'm professional. First off, before we done that part, I will edit it and post. I need. Ooh, a blooper reel. Oh, wow. Good morning, everyone.
Ryan.
Good morning.
Morning recordings! It's fun,
good.
everybody. We're all super awake.
Hey, hold on. There we go.
All right. I want to thank my patrons. Who keep me sane and grounded and keep the metaphorical lights, tech lights, on for this whole Twitch production. So special appreciation to Heather, Corey, and Christina, and also our channel benefactors, Dice Bags by Sammy and Fennec from the Land Above podcast. I also definitely want to thank my mod squad and co-Discord community founders, Dan, Nick, and Z. Their links are all down below if you want to find out more about the history of make-believe or about them in general. They're awesome. They zap all of our trolls that pop up in the chat so that I can yammer on at people and not have to think too hard. And I want to thank all of you that are joining us in chat, because you're totally here, because this is totally live. I feel like I should edit that part out. And of course, I want to thank all of you that are joining us in chat. We do this for all of you. And of course, so that you get to meet all of my amazing friends, and then everyone becomes friends, and it's all just a big community of awesome creative people, and we can all do more games together, and it's great. Anyway. Hi. I'm here with some friends of mine. They're great. Would you all mind going around, introducing yourself, what kind of RPGs you like to play, how long you've been playing RPGs, and if you have any fun new projects you want to share or anything like that. And we'll start with Christine, because that's the way the overlay goes.
Okay. All right. Let me try to think of all the points you just said, because again, it's 10 in the morning. So hi everybody. I'm Christine Chester. I've been playing RPGs now for about 17-ish years. I started, like a lot of people, with D&D 3rd edition back in the day, and have branched out to play all sorts of fantastic games throughout the years. Star Wars and the FFG system is probably my big go-to now. It's the game I'm most comfortable game mastering, and I've been having a lot of fun playing it now for almost 4 years. We're not quite there yet, but we're coming up fast on it for Heroes. Other things going on. A few months ago, I started a. Let me stop smacking my hands. That's great for the audio.
It's fine. We're going to overlay an audio track on this of music, which covers a lot of hills.
Okay, there you go. See? So now you're listening to the lovely music, listeners.
I just got something to occupy my hands.
So a few months ago, I actually got to start a Star Trek Adventures actual play, Endeavor Through the Maelstrom.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, with our with fellow Heroes co-host Brandon, who's unfortunately not here today, but he does the game mastering and the editing on it, in which he's doing a fantastic job. And I just play an adorable fish frog girl who does science. It's great.
Huh.
Look, completely accidental, Ren. Completely.
They should be friends.
Sure.
I'd say convenient, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's perfect for the inevitable crossover.
And it is.
So that can be found at endeavorshow.com, and it's the same on Twitter.
With a U.
What else am I supposed to answer? Yes, with a U. Thank you.
I think you answered everything. Yeah.
I did it.
And yes, that Endeavor is the same Endeavor that we had most of the people on a month ago. And Christine was the person we were talking about, had work and could not attend. So this was sort of me flipping and letting Christine get some time on, and Brandon's at work, so whatever.
Yep. So now I'm going to just answer all of your Endeavor questions as well, and make Brandon adapt to what I declare as no canon.
I mean, I have some questions.
Oh no.
But yeah, Leslie, RPGs, what? This 2 sips into my coffee is not a good look for me. Leslie, what kind of RPGs do you play? How long have you been playing them? And do you have any fun projects or just anecdotes or things you want to talk about? letting me keep going. What's happening?
I think Leslie's frozen.
Oh my gosh! I was like, is Leslie
It's
just
the best
teasing
capture
me?
of all time.
Yeah.
I thought she was just like letting me continue to ramble
Hold on.
and lose
I
my
gotta
thread.
see if I can get a quick capture of this for her.
Yes, please do.
Oh my God.
All right, I did it.
This is so smug. Okay.
So
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah, she dropped, which means all the cameras went to different spots, so I need to wait and see if she pops back in. Hi!
It took us like 30
amazing.
seconds longer than it should have to realize you were gone because of the pose you got frozen in. I did get a
know
screen.
what I was doing, but
I did get a screen capture for you. I'll put on Twitter because it's great.
It's real good.
Yeah.
I thought you were teasing me real hard.
crap and gave up.
Alright, I've got to slide the cameras back into the right positions real quick.
Oh, did it not save?
It's okay. Like, it was recorded, so I can just take a screen grab of
Okay, that's good.
that moment.
Yeah.
It's
So it can be
I
a GIF
grabbed it.
and saved forever.
Just where did it go? Wait, I found it.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to point out that I feel a deep kinship with all of the Star Wars species that have that black to technology. the Gigaran, the Ewoks have it. You know, it's just That's it.
There you go, Leslie, just for you.
I will look at it momentarily. I'm going to endeavor to answer questions before.
You're going to endeavor?
Endeavor. I do that every time Brandon says the word endeavor.
He loves it.
And he uses that word daily. And he's just like, yes, I know.
I'm going to be positive. Actually, naturally, that's just because I'm weird. All right, so I started playing. I was trying to do the math while Christine was talking. I think I'm at about 15 years now. As I said previously, time has no meaning. A friend of mine approached me in college, and she brought me in on technically really beat up old copies of 2nd edition. And over the years, I've moved through 2nd edition to 3rd to before it was 5. It was Next. Star Wars. My main introduction was the first season of Heroes, and you can really tell.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, I ask a lot of questions in season 1, which was good.
They were helpful.
You need a cabbage head so you can teach everybody, and I'm very willingly going to fill that role. I like playing almost all of the games I've ever tried. Fate kind of was a little too squishy. My main thing is I'm happy being at a table with people I enjoy. And I don't do projects, I participate in projects. I have nothing that is mine, but everything that is other people's.
That's fair. All right, so our fabulous GM, Ben. RPG, history, stuff you want to talk about?
I started off role-playing when I was in grade 7 with Rifts, and things sort of have gone up since there, because Rifts is a trying system that if you're good at it, it's a great system, and like anything, great. If you have the people to play it, it's a great play. And it's a very interesting world. I love the lore about it, but the system is not for me. And I've been playing ever since, so that's 27 years I'm going on. So, yeah. As for, I really have liked Star Wars role-playing. I love the universe of Star Wars. So having a role-playing system that puts me in the universe is the thing. If it's the West End Games D6 one, that was amazingly fun. It had its own things that grew out of it. Then the reskin D&D also had its own cool stuff. And now the
that was
FFG
actually
stuff.
the first, the D20 Star Wars is actually the first game I ever game mastered.
Cool. And yeah, then FFG, as soon as I got tired of the GM load in Saga Edition. The play was fun, but the GM load I found to be very heavy because you need maps in that system.
Was the Saga Edition the one that came out of D&D?
It was sort of like the prototype for 4th edition. There
Okay.
was
Gotcha.
it lines up a lot with 4th edition, just has a few differences that make it a little bit easier to use.
Yeah, it's a little less like MMO-y, but it has still some of those elements. It was overall a good system, but yeah, very clunky, very GM heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember spending so much time building NPCs and encounters in the old D20 games, whereas now I'm like, let me grab a couple cards. Sure, there's 6 minions and a couple rivals. Let's go.
Yeah, like GMing in FFG has reduced my load so much that it allows for tangents to happen in Heroes that just I don't think could have happened if I was doing the same structure in a D20 system. Because, yeah, we can just, okay, and now we have a pitched battle because someone decided to shoot a stormtrooper.
Cabbage choices.
No, it wasn't me.
The next time that happens, it's going to be shooting over you.
So that's zero. It's convenient.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, for moving you with the Force.
Yeah,
That too.
That's kind of where I thought. I was like, maybe.
And then Hillary gets tossed up in the air, Koba shoots someone, and it all works out.
Yeah, just get Hillary out of the way.
We will provide some context for this in a moment, but first, I'm just gonna kick all of this off with how did you all meet and what brought you all together on the Hydian Way? I guess us all together. It's weird because usually I'm not included in but I guess I kind of am included in this panel.
Yes, you are.
Come to the
Okay,
family.
Ben, we've done this a few times, but it's been a while. Does the story begin with me or with you? I forget.
Well, it's two paths that meet because of Dice for Brains.
Yeah.
So I'm going with you.
Okay. So I'd done a little bit of podcasting before, but not much in like the actual play space and such. And then I was invited on to do a like pre-season session of a show called Dice for Brains, where they brought several of us in, including Chris Ng, who was in the first season of Heroes of the Hydian Way, and we all just played for 3 hours, mucked everything up. It was wonderful. I had a lot of fun with it.
Seamus killed a guy.
Yep. Seamus killed a guy. And in the aftermath of it, it made me really, really want to try my hand at podcasting again and at a real actual play. And just December, I made a tweet about it where I'm like, listening to this show and makes me really want to try my hand at this. And then somebody actually replied like, yeah, me too. You want to? It's like, oh, okay, this is actually going to happen. I'm making a show now.
Mm-hmm. And then from all of that, Heroes has happened.
Yeah.
And the other road to this was, I'd been doing, at that point, Tales for about 2 years. And I'd done this Star Wars FFG based GM advice show called Tales of the Hydian Way.
Good stuff.
And, yeah, it's linked on the site. So started that one, let's see, about 319 weeks ago. And
just quick, simple math,
someone was saying how podcasters should take breaks, and then I looked up the math to find out my semi-snarky reply that I never did, but now the math is stuck in my head. But
I'm just thinking about how many weeks of those I've now been a part of this. If Tales was only around for 2 years when we started Heroes.
yeah, like it's to continue on with the tale, a series that we had liked called Yelp had just finished because the person running it was getting into other projects, and I had thought that it was a very valuable space to have a accessible role-playing system that was of all these weird and wacky systems. So I got talking with my co-hosts at the time, one of which was David Pickering, and the other one is Joshua Brown, and we came up with our own idea of, well, what would have us stand out in the role-playing, the actual play universe. And everyone's doing their own thing in their own built-up universe. But one of the things that we had all found was the FFG adventures, and generally any adventure, is kind of clunky to run. So we decided, well, how about we try running in an actual play these published adventures? Because some of them are clunky enough that you start scratching your head, can anyone do this? Some of them are great, some of them are just so clunky and could have used another pass with more playtesters. And so that was our seed. Ross from Dice for Brains had come on the show to advertise Dice for Brains because it's a great show. And try and catch it. I'm not sure if everything's been kept up with it, but it was a really fun show. And from there, I tried getting into the game that Christine got into, and I just started lurking in the Dice for Brains orbit. Christine said, well, it was such a fun game, I'm looking to do this. And it's like, wait, I'm also looking to do this. Can we do this together? And thus, Heroes was born.
I was just there. Like, I like games. I'm a gamer.
Well, so the connection here is you and Christine in college?
Nope.
No, I met Leslie, and through by extension Nicole, my wife, through
welcome.
Heroes. Without Heroes, yeah, there's no connection there.
I knew Ben because I was part of the original home for Tales,
Mm-hmm.
and I was kind of part of that. I was a drifter in that kind of cloud, anomalous cloud of various people. And Ben ran. Somebody ran a beginner box for me, and I was completely ignorant. I don't know.
It might have been me, it might have been Brian.
I don't know. It was a handful.
It was a while
of
back.
And then Ben's like, hey, doing a thing. You want to do a thing? And I'm like, I want to do a thing. I'm like, yeah, sure. And here I am, no longer the cabbage head. Most of the time.
I think
Unless there's ship combat, then I'm completely lost.
Everyone's lost in ship combat.
Really.
I think
it was because it was we brought Leslie on. I think you were our first person, and then we actually tried to get Brandon in the first season.
Yes.
And couldn't is when we got Brent and Chris, and then we're able to come back around and bring Brandon in and David for the second.
And I'm the last.
And a great addition you are.
I was just thinking while we were critiquing the FFG's editing system, this is why we can't have Brendan on this particular episode.
Yeah. So
yeah, there's that.
Is what you and I ran. We were doing a Tales from the Loop stream.
Yeah, so many tales.
Yeah.
All these tales. I was thinking also when Ben was talking about Tales from the Hydian Way, I was like, no relation to Tales of Make Believe. I just wanted to abbreviate to Tomb.
I like it. I did
Good
not
abbreviation,
realize or ever noticed that.
And
Like
Tales of the Hydian Way grew out of an old Star Wars thing from EU, where it was an anthology series of short stories.
Have I been saying it wrong this whole time? It's not Tales from the Hydian Way, it's Tales of the Hydian Way?
No, it's Tales from.
Oh, okay.
It is Tales from. It's Heroes of.
Oh, yeah, because
Heroes
they're
of Tales from.
yeah, because they're different. So I remember we had that conversation of or from for Heroes as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was like, wait a
and-
minute, I'm wrong.
There's that, and also there's a reason why in like our show documents, from or Heroes of is underlined,
Emphasized.
because anyone who is going between the two, like David or I, it was very easy to confuse the two.
Yeah, okay. So I guess because you and Christine and Leslie are local, I got it into my head somehow that you had some sort of college connection. But I think
Nicole and I went to
I'm
I think I'm
Canadian.
confusing
Yeah,
all
when-
of the
when-
origin stories from
Hmm.
those episodes that I listened
Yes,
to.
Leslie and Nicole are the old college friends, and I moved to
Okay.
Pennsylvania because of Nicole.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I lived in Virginia at the time, and it was only like a 4-hour drive. So I'm like, absolutely, I'll come up and meet people. And then I had to see Leslie's face, and it was terrible. But
Oh my
I
gosh!
stuck around. Oh, look at the pow! Oh, I feel bad now. Not
Oh
that
my
bad.
god!
She's gonna make fun of me later. I love you, Leslie.
We love each other, I promise.
Fine. I'll believe.
All right, so we
See
do
if
have
I ever introduce you to your future spouse again. Oh, you like denobulins? Nicole likes denobulins.
Thank you, Leslie.
Yeah, that's right. I got a very powerful part to play. Okay, let's be honest here.
I know, right?
It's a
Like-
very, very good pout. I've not seen that in real life, and I'm.
No, that's because
Mhm.
you don't make me pout. It's just because Christine's being mean.
I am a monster. Mostly to Leslie and Brandon.
I typically deserve it. I won't lie. But, you know, I can be a monster back if I need to.
Absolutely.
So we are going to talk about the podcast that we're all on, but you know, this is us. First, I've got a couple of general questions about Star Wars. This is supposed to be. I think this one is probably supposed to be like the icebreaker thing, but we've broken the ice. There's no ice. It's fine.
Like years at this point.
I am in Boston, and I think there was a frost this morning because my toes are numb, but there's no ice. So, who is your favorite character in the overall canon or legacy universe of Star Wars, and why? And because this is a panel episode, and I forgot to give anyone instructions, anyone can answer any question in whatever order. It does not have to go in the overlay order. It is whoever has a
Actually,
thought.
I don't know what the overlay order is. Sorry. I don't remember.
That's fine.
That's a tough one. I know I always struggle with like favorite character questions for like any universe, anything of that nature. And I've had to work up like a Star Trek one lately, but now I'm like, oh, Star Wars, what a
See, Star
What do I
Trek is
do
super
here?
easy for me. My favorite characters in Star Trek just done. But Star
Okay,
Wars
well,
is-
what are they?
Star Trek? It's Geordi and Guinan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Guinan is top tier. Geordi is like right there.
that's fair.
And then, you know, I have subsequent favorites, but those are the big ones.
Odo.
Odo is really cool. We're about to start DS9, so I will have
Ooh, good. Oh,
a
good.
little
Oh,
Yeah.
bit
good.
of exposure to that.
Yeah,
I actually,
good.
Please keep us
Um,
updated on your experience with that.
oh, don't worry.
Yes.
Like with gargoyles.
I'm like random gargoyles. What's going on in this? This makes no sense. But I think the Star Wars is actually no. There is only one answer for me. Lando.
Yes! Yes! High five! High five!
Hold on. I think part of it is because Billy D. Williams is just made of charisma.
Yes!
Yeah.
As smooth talking as Han Solo was,
And capes.
but
Yeah, the capes. Yeah.
the charisma, you've got the fashion sense, you've got the concept that you can see him struggling because he wants to do what's right for what's going on, but he also wants to do what's right for what is in his protectorate.
Mm, yeah.
So he has another struggle. I also read in the EU the Buffy Ra trilogy. I don't actually know what it's called. It's Adventures with Lando or something.
I think it's
Lando Calrissian Chronicles, I believe.
It's awesome. Read it. I had a lot of fun reading it. Wufira is a little droid and is amazing, and but it just kind of cemented. And actually, watching Han Solo, you get a lot of references specifically to that set. But it's Lando. I mean, when I was a kid, I was kind of in love with Harrison Ford, and who doesn't want a Chewie by their side? But I have a love of the try-hard scoundrels. I mean, my favorite character from The Mummy is Jonathan, the idiot brother. So
yes,
you're a try-hard scoundrel, and I'm a sucker, I guess. Plus a kid.
There's so many good reasons why we're friends. But yes, I'm right with you on all of these answers.
This was something I discovered as an adult, though. Well, because if I was a kid, let's just say there's a reason that Chubbles is part of my life.
Oh.
I don't care what anybody says that you watch it.
I loved you watched the Ewok movies, right?
I've never actually seen them. I just know the Ewoks from the movie.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's a reason I have an entire Ewok character and backstory in my head, ready for someday.
Okay, we
There's
need to have an
two
Ewok
Ewok
movie.
movies.
We need to have
Yeah.
an Ewok movie hero over Zoom.
Totally
movie
down
night.
for that.
Yes. Okay.
If we can finagle the timing, I'm down for
I'm
it.
sure we can make it happen.
Yeah.
We also need to watch Turtles 2 at some point.
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
there's,
I object to that one.
What?
Uh, all right, back to Star Wars.
Yes.
Good thing I like you. Okay.
Favorite Star Wars character.
I'm gonna cheat one way or another. So if you have a legitimate answer, Ben, go for it.
Okay, my actual answer is generally actually Vorsa Bringy, which is a genetic. It's from the Wraith Squadron books, which is old EU, like from the 90s, before Episode 1 came out. He was a genetically modified Gamorrean who was super intelligent with really good math processing and otherwise the physical characteristics of a Gamorrean. And the journey he goes on through these 3 books is just amazing. Also, he single-handedly captures a Corellian Corvette that had been turned into a carrier. So
It's an incredible scene.
I have to say, I'm kind of disappointed because my collection of the EU is very spotty. Not a lot of them, like, I didn't read them as a kid, and then not a lot of them survived my husband's youth. So we have, like, 7 books, and half of them don't have, like, covers and stuff. And the Wraith Squadron books were not part of that collection. So I'll get there eventually.
The Wraith Squadron books are probably my favorite of the entirety of the EU.
I feel like I hear that a lot.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah. Aaron Elston is a really, really good author. Or was, sadly.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, somehow I was gonna cheat is my favorite characters in Star Wars are basically just about everybody who's not a main character in a movie. I really, really love the X-Wing series as well. I grew up reading the Rogue Squadron and Wraith Squadron books. They were, I think, literally my first like adult level books I read on my own, and fell in love with all of those characters and the stories, and some of why I might be fangirling a lot about Squadrons, which is out right now, and stuff of that nature. But I also loved a lot of they would have. I think there were also tales from like. The Cantina at Mos Eisley Cantina or the New Republic or things like that.
I have that one. I haven't read it yet.
And I loved a lot of those short stories and little like snippets we would get from different characters and points of view within the galaxy. And then the last bit, it's actually focusing on one character. I will say, somebody who will always stick with me from the EU was Anakin Solo. and the way that character's like final kind of arc went, is something that is just stuck with me, and it's never left my mind ever since reading the new Jedi Order books that dealt with him. And
I really liked when Anakin Solo got brought into the more adult books. That arc was really, really heartfelt.
Yeah, and it didn't go at all the way you normally would expect it to, the way everybody thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
So. Now, is that in that it didn't have a happy ending, or it did have a happy ending? Because a lot of the books I'm reading in Star Wars don't have happy endings.
It's okay. So, spoilers for a really old book. It's heartbreaking.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, with a character named Anakin, it looks for a little while like they're shaping him up to like, oh, he's gonna follow his grandfather's footsteps. Like all this stuff's gonna happen. And he pulls like a complete 180 and just has a really powerful ending. And it's heartbreaking because he's like leaving a budding girlfriend behind, and like all these moments. And the way that whole like scene is written out, as he basically realizes he's sacrificing himself, and he's so young too. He's like late teens, early 20s at most.
Something like that, yeah.
And more spoilers, this is also after he was saved by Chewbacca's sacrifice a few books prior to that. Yep, Chewie died in the EU. Oh, look, there's the hero's tree.
It took him a moon. It took a moon to kill Chewie.
Yeah, and it's just it was good stuff, and and it just
is the whole horrible, depressing, if very powerful ending. Is that pretty common in the EU books?
Pretty much.
It felt like it once it went to Del Rey.
I mean, I won't lie. The ones that I'm referencing, I read a couple of the Revan books. And I mean, Revan, obviously, given the Knights of the Old Republic context, is going to have some crap. There's going to be some hard stuff. So.
Yeah, once it went to Del Rey, things started getting a bit more grim, just because the time period that things were in.
There are some happier books, though. A lot of good less depressing ending. Like Lando book that I referenced. It's 3 short episodes in one. Enjoyable. The Join the Resistance series by Ben Acker and Ben Blacker. The contemporary YA series. Lots of fun. Kind of illustrated. It's that's probably less YA. It's more middle grades. It's pretty young.
I feel a little like fake Star Wars fanboy right now. For every time you say EU, I think European Union.
I'm sorry, I guess Legends, I guess, is the term we should be using, but
yeah, because that's what they are now.
Yeah, it's
but ostensibly, I suppose I am supposed to be answering these questions, so I guess I already tipped my hat and said I agree with Lando. Also, the no thank you droid from the last movie.
Oh shoot, the little wheel.
Wheelie, like Theo. He looks like a lamp with a wheel.
Yeah, it looks kind of like the Pixar lamp. Side note, I have a lot of favorite droids that don't really count as favorite characters, but if you show me a Gonk, I'm going to say
Gonks. Gonks are great.
From Fallen Order, amazing.
I love how much they put into emoting with droids. I think I have it as like my Instagram description is like in it for the sad robots.
Oh
yeah.
I just love droids.
What is it? There's a new From a Certain Point of View coming out in a little while for Empire Strikes Back, and they've got an L3 story in it, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes.
Like, for the new canon, L3 is one of my more favorite side characters.
L3 is
the droid in Solo. The one that gets sacrificed and put into... Yeah.
She didn't get enough...
No.
She didn't get enough due, so I also will be excited to check that out.
Ren, I have to apologize.
For what?
You see me having giggle fits, it's because my stomach is rumbling, and I know I can hear it. I hope you can.
I can't hear it.
But then again, also, I've got all the swoop lights on past.
I had a helicopter go by a few minutes ago. I was fortunately muted on the recording end, but I know that you all could probably hear it. just went whoosh, and I was like,
Well, I'm just recording live from Ornamental.
I haven't heard any of those signature trains yet, but the key word is...
What? One was going by.
I
while
did.
was
I
talking
did hear
earlier.
one. Yeah. When we're recording Heroes, we are often plagued by everyone has a different thing. Christine has the ornamental trains. Leslie has the swoop bikes. I just have people just racing on my street for some reason.
I live between like
I've got pod
stop
racing.
signs.
There you go.
I live between like stop signs, so you always hear the braking and the acceleration.
Yeah.
So yeah, swoop bikes, lots of traffic.
Brandon also has Ornamental trains. We often joke that it's the same one, but that's a really fast-moving train.
I'm saying he's got Narshada trains because he's also got all that population.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and he sometimes has kids screaming in the hallways of the apartment
Yep.
complex.
totally Narshada.
What is happening? Why are you people letting your children scream in the hallway? Anyway.
Don't be upset with they're not screaming in the unit.
Listen, I have a lot of comments to make, but we're just gonna move past.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is our last just generic Star Wars question, and it's a good one. Has the weight of the Star Wars fandom, and specifically the kind of toxic culture of Star Wars fanboys, made you nervous about putting out content in the Star Wars universe?
I'll go first because my answer is really easy. It's no, but that's because I live in a very curated Star Wars fandom. I work with people that are explicitly no drama, non-hate. These people at this table here, a handful of others, and I don't follow the fandom, I follow the people. So I have been very blessed in that I've not been exposed to a lot of them.
See, my answer is yes, because I'm naturally a very anxious person, and I do keep my eyes open and see a lot, and try to process it and try to figure out what's the best thing to do or not to do. And I at least can say that the Star Wars fandom situation. Leslie's laughing at me.
There's a train. I can hear my train, but it's always
okay.
You guys can't hear my train.
Okay.
The thing is, it's funny because it's actually also Christine's train.
That's true. It's probably the one that just had.
Right before me or right after me, I don't remember.
I think it's heading in your direction. I don't know. We'll find out if another train shows up here shortly. But yes, there's been a lot of pressure in terms of the fandom, and in terms of a lot of the toxicity that's been around. It's made it to me more important than ever to focus on the positive things within Star Wars stories and the fandom, and not drag everything down. So yeah.
I remember when you asked me if I wanted to be on this show, that was my first thought, was like, oh no, I'm not enough of a fan. I'm gonna get torn apart because I haven't read all of the backlog books and things. And then I looked down at my wallet at the time, which had the rebellion symbol on it. I look over at my, collection of Star Wars things, and I'm just like, no, I'm enough. I can do this. I made Star Wars Clue when I was 14.
That's awesome.
I can do this.
Really is.
That's awesome.
For me, there's always been a saying of, if you don't feel that there's your place in a fandom, make your own, and that truly is what Tales and Heroes has been. Like, this is season 2 and 3 have turned into some of the queerest Star Wars that I know of, and I'm really, really happy with that. Like, that's because it's a big problem with Star Wars, that there just is not that good of representation. And so doing Heroes is sort of my answer to, well, what do the fan... Like, I've seen some of the negative reviews of Heroes, and I just can't bring myself to care about the content, because, like, this is our part of the universe. If you want to say something about it, go have your own. And being with people who do really good and heartfelt stories in Star Wars, that's what I'm here for. And so my thoughts about fanboys, especially I know how bad Star Wars is. It's one of my common refrains. There is no fandom worse than Star Wars. That being said, there are few fandoms better than Star Wars if you can find the people. And I've certainly found the people with y'all.
That's an excellent point. You're also making me think back to I know when we began, that was one of my missions. Like, I wanted to inject that queer element. That's why Nima was a lesbian right off the bat. Let's get it in there. We're not represented very well elsewhere, so let's do it ourselves.
Yeah, I'm also really grateful for being given the space this season to play a non-binary character. I didn't do that when I joined because I was not quite sort of there yet with comfort, but I did, play a male character, which was amazing. So you're all good. So moving on to some more Heroes specific questions. This is a good segue. What is your favorite thing about playing a game in the Star Wars universe?
It's ridiculous.
What? You mean inflatable pigs that search for minerals is ridiculous, Leslie?
Just
I'm still saying they'd be great for dodgeball.
No, support it. I mean, we had Puffer Pig Soccer in season 1. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, and it's just ridiculous. There's so many things you can do, so many things you can make sense, and then so many things that hard stuff you can't do just because of the timing of the original material. So, it's less and less a thing, I guess, but, the jokes about how things are on cassettes.
Yeah.
Microchips are a thing in Star Wars, but they're not the default thing. They're a special thing. So it's like, I love how clunky it is at times, and then how you can do such cool things. Like, I have a character in a game that is a coffee person. Like, she sells donuts and coffee. That's literally her thing. And she got dragged into this galaxy-saving adventure. She literally has a hover cart where she dishes out coffee and donuts. And somewhere along the way, she accidentally picked up an assassin droid as a friend, accidentally named him Buddy, and now he sells coffee and donuts with her. But in the context of everything that happened, it made sense. So it's you can do the most ridiculous, heartwarming, stupid things, and it's beautiful. And you do them with people you love.
Well, you all won me over when. So Christine sent me the first episode of Trouble Brewing to entice me, show me what the sort of how it all was going, and I listened to that, and there was all the biscuit baron nonsensory and everything, and I think the first thing Leslie ever says is, "Do you want a cookie?" And I was like, these people are amazing. Yeah.
Had hover feet. I mean, why not?
Gosh, now I'm remembering our fight scene in the cafe.
Okay.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Oh, the chocolate. Oh my gosh, we're ridiculous. I love us.
Oh, we're such a delight.
I mean, you're in a cafe. Of course there's food. Why wouldn't you have food go into the fight?
Anybody else have thoughts about what your favorite thing about playing a game in the Star Wars universe is?
I think Leslie is right on the money there. I love the humor and the lightheartedness we can inject into our game and our stories. I love that we can have, a fight that involves food. I love that we can, riff on each other, and we can have an episode dealing with a game mechanic that's treated like a game show, and all these ridiculous things. I also love that it's the kind of universe that has the range to tell stories on the other side. We can have still those big dramatic moments where lives are on the line, or we're, doing something dumb but heroic or epic, and we can have characters that can be both silly and and cool on the other side of the spectrum. And that's really nice, sort of mixed in with we're telling stories about people who contain that range and conflicting personalities, and it's a joy to like play in this universe and with these people.
Yeah, for me, having a system and having a universe where you've got the range of going from the food fight to very shortly after jumping out of a perfectly good starship and trying to descend into a jungle, that going horribly wrong, and then still trying to assault a stronghold of a pirate because that seems like the thing to do, and having that feel connected and proper, and then the same crew then later on assaulting a spaceship in a space battle. Like, the narrative breadth that you can do is amazing. Like, it's one of the better adventure universes that is just huge. I think that's the other part that I like about it, is it's just huge. If you say you're wanting to do something with huts, okay, there's 36 of them, and you're not limited to, okay, well, I'm only working with Jabba, I'm only doing this.
And I think that's something you really see in the films, and in the way Christine phrased it, in the films and the books, in the shows, the games, whatever, is you have these stories that we're watching and we're absorbing. So you've got Luke and Han and Leia and all that stuff going on. But in every shot where it's not just the main characters, there is so much going on in the background. You've got No Thank You Droid. You've got gonks and trains.
I
was waiting for somebody else to notice. Yeah,
the cantina. I mean, how many people just like jumping over to Silhouette Zero? They're playing the main character is a Chatterfan. You know what you get at the Chatterfan in the movies?
They were wanting blue milk.
Getting a drink. That's it. And from that, you get all of these things that you can just explode out in.
Look, it was a very important role.
Exactly.
Breakthrough.
Well, but you shine behind the camera.
I'm just thinking now about how many of my characters came from the Bounty Hunter lineup in Empire.
Yeah, I wonder.
1, 2.
I mean, I played a Bothan that you don't even see.
Nope.
Oh.
Yep.
Who knows what they look like?
I mean, in season 1, we specifically make mention of this a few times, Chris and I. So, what does Kith look like? Who knows?
Kind of a canine rat person.
Yeah, ish. Slightly goat too. Yeah.
She's all of 5 foot tall and kind of thin, but she wears ridiculous coveralls.
With Velcro.
And
lots of fun with there is no limit to fashion in Star Wars.
True. So true.
You can
Calf proves that.
anything and everything, and that's why every show should have at least one shopping episode.
So, I feel like a little bit of context at this juncture, because we've been throwing around all these names. So, Heroes of the Hydian Way, first season was Age of Rebellion.
Yes.
And that had Christine and Leslie and
Chris and
Brent. And your characters were Nima and Kith, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And then the second series was Edge of the Empire, and that is the one that had Christine and Leslie and David and Brandon. And then I slid in right after the prelude thing.
It starts with a P.
That thing.
Yeah.
After trouble brewing our first adventure.
And that's where, so Christine was playing Cav, or as my character would
Ilan
say,
Cav. Yep. The Gand droid tech. The most ridiculous character my brain has ever conjured. I miss them so much.
And Leslie was playing Billy, the droid.
Tragic but enigmatic and beautiful.
I was playing Dr. Vestrano, who was a Pantoran, which nobody ever knows what that is, which is how I like it because I'm not bogged down by lore. I keep picking species in Star Wars that don't have a whole lot of lore so that nobody can yell at me about messing it up.
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
I just want you to know, in the game that Greg just started for me last week, my best friend is one of my best friends is a Pantoran.
Nice.
So I wanted somebody that was humanoid but not human, and something very visually striking. And all I could think of was the blue and the yellow tattoos. I'm like, well, there you go.
And we, of course, had our Solonian captain. Now I want to sing the song.
Right?
Yeah, I know, right?
Gandroid.
Right, bring Paul in here for the dance.
I think still having a meeting.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. Okay. So every season has had a theme song by Chris.
Yeah.
This season, it's so good. Oh, it's so
I
good.
like the theme song, but the diss track is better.
Well, nobody's heard it.
It still
yet.
hasn't been released.
Yeah.
Oh, mysteries! You can wonder.
Yeah, that needs to happen at some point.
Yeah, the fact that there's a theme song is so good.
I like that each one's been a different genre of music too.
Yeah.
Like they're so distinct from one another.
And so the rest of the context, we are now in the Force and Destiny system.
Mm-hmm.
And Christine, you are playing
I am playing Kesh, the Trandoshan seer.
And Leslie is playing.
I am playing High Lord Hilary Aloric, first of his name.
And I am playing Skip, Kalaran, which
Hermit
is her. I know. I want to finish off with the intro thing, but who's kind of like a little weird, squishy frog fella.
Super awesome. And
That's super cool.
It's Skip is just Kai's cousin from another universe.
Yes, I accept this.
And the protagonist.
And the protagonist of our show. Every episode is just proving it more and more.
And it gets brought up more and more. It's awesome.
All right.
Skip is amazing and has so much room to grow.
So there's our context for all these character names. So when making characters for this new season, especially after both of you have had characters for every other season, what was your process for narrowing down the kind of character you wanted to play, like personality, career, spec, etc.?
I had known I wanted to play Kesh for this season since we started Heroes. Because I had just finished playing her, or a version of her, I should rather say, in a campaign that Brandon ran. And I loved that character, and I loved Trandoshans, and I wanted to do that for the show. And then I ended up starting off with Nima to kind of like make it a little bit easier for myself, playing a more humanoid character and trying to get a handle for this whole thing. And then I had the idea of like, oh, well, Kesh is perfect for Force and Destiny, because I'd always had that scorekeeper connection, scorekeeper being the Trandoshan goddess. And so I like the idea of like having somebody older in their life, discovering Force abilities and contextualizing it in a different way, thinking about it as a divine gift in this case, and what are the responsibilities that come with that for somebody. So for me, this season was easy. Last season was the hard one.
Kev.
Yeah, that was just a character that I decided to play again because I was like, screw it, I can talk in the third person for a whole season. How hard could it be?
Yeah, how hard could it be, Christine?
Yeah.
And then I had the ridiculous idea to throw sunglasses on them, and then the Hawaiian shirt followed, and Well, the only other thing I had is Cav wanted to be a pilot and a bounty hunter, but wasn't good at either yet. And I started. And that was the character I built as we went along and just became more and more ridiculous. And I love them so much.
Such a delight.
Yeah.
Cav lives on in our hearts. On fire.
And what? Wow. Yes. What made you want to be a dapper dinosaur, Leslie?
Well, first of all, just the phrase "dapper dinosaur" is really enough for me. Billy ended up being pretty hard for me, probably largely because of just people issues, like me issues, not table people. She was also conceived alongside Boren, so when Boren left, a lot of the rhythm that had been established internally was unseated. And I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do, I wasn't sure what I was going to be able to do. And so I'm like, you know what? I just need to go back to what I do. And as a player, I default to talking a lot because it's what I do as a human being. And I typically, like, about half my characters, and for the longest time, most of my characters were dudes. I'm like, be a dude dinosaur, and then how far away, like, Silhouette Zero, that's different. We haven't actually had anyone. The Alina are cool and hilarious. Although I've only ever looked at pictures and banner, and oh my gosh, there's some great
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of just fell together. I talked to everyone to pick out what would make sense for what he would be good at. I decided he was a dad. And so he had to have some core background there. He was a traveling performer, so he's fairly charismatic, stuff like that. And the last little tidbit I did was I contacted Chrising, who is a father, and I said, okay, so my character gets to have a rank in two things. And what makes sense as a dad? And he said, medicine. So I have a rank in medicine. And that ended up kind of following in the horsepower I have to heal harm. So I'm just a dapper dad, making my way with my newfound
Children.
mayhem. Except for the part where in season 1, I was more or less the child. And in this season, I am the quasi-father figure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So true.
You've kind of become the most responsible person in our group.
Yeah.
I'm the one who has no combat skills and is, 3 feet shorter than everyone else.
Yep.
I will be a responsible adult.
And one of my goals for Act 2 is to get Hillary to use the harm power.
There's some needles coming out, and they're not stabbing them.
Yeah.
Let's skip.
Season. Oh right, I'm supposed to be answering these. I forget. I'm not used to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, series 2, I came in as. Okay, so I didn't know the system very well. I didn't feel very confident in the world, even though I really like Star Wars. But the aforementioned fanboys, I was, pretty prepared for people to tear me apart about not knowing, the exact temperature of, the moon on Hoth or whatever.
Very cold.
So I went through all of the available species and I picked one that was humanoid enough so that it wasn't so much of a stretch to play it, but also didn't have a whole lot of lore, so I wasn't ruining anything. And also, very importantly, something that I do when I'm not feeling very confident is I deliberately make a character that is a little nervous and doesn't know a whole lot about the situation they're in, because it is not that much of a stretch to roleplay them. So my second series character, Dr. Vestrano, was just this bumbling, nervous, punchy guy. And so this season,
Very punchy.
I wanted to play, something very different and try to be a little bit more competent, which everyone's probably going to look at me funny because I'm playing Skip, who is a young explorer, weirdo,
Mm-hmm.
who has a lot of skills in various random things, has a pet, has been exploring the universe. We have not dug even a tiny bit into Skip, I feel like, at this juncture. Skip is just a really weird character, but also not nervous, but is definitely very socially awkward, which is another thing that I sometimes fall on. If I need something to ground myself, I will pull one of my flaws. And so the flaw that I've pulled for Skip to keep Skip a little bit grounded and easy to play is being just completely incapable of knowing what to say in social situations. So
what I'm hearing is you picked a track that you're familiar with, something you can draw on from yourself. I picked old habits, and Christine literally just picked a character she's already played.
Pretty much.
So we basically just made ourselves very comfortable. We made ourselves into character nests. And now we're ensconcing them, and Ben is saying, "Fly, birdies, fly."
Well, oh, sorry.
I mean, that's kind of my GMing style anyway, but I've been wanting to run this adventure and turn screws on people for as long as Heroes has been there. I was taking a look at the original documents for Heroes planning, and this was the adventure that Joshua and I were initially wanting to run. Somehow in a month, but and
oh, those original plans, how many adventures did we think we would get through in a year? 3, 4?
Something like that. Yeah, it was pretty much like every quarter it would be a new adventure. Each one of our seasons takes a year and a half.
That is a good point. When Christine pitched Heroes to me, she was like, it's only like a 3 to 5 month commitment. And I'm like, okay, cool. We played that for a year and a half.
Look, at the time I was still holding on to the original idea that, we'll get through these things no problem at all. And then if anything, I think series 2 might be longer than series 1.
Yeah, I think so.
That's because it's so much fun to get involved and to craft these scenes.
Well, season 2, so all of us were not in our comfort, except for maybe Brandon. But I think Brandon was in their comfort zone character-wise, but the rest of us were not. And then we ended up having this amazing found family arc with the whole ship. So
actually, Brandon was also outside of his comfort zone.
Oh, because he couldn't have cunning.
He couldn't have cunning.
Right.
And he couldn't do a lot of the more like lying or morally questionable things. No, Brandon playing the mom character, that's much more my thing than his. Yeah. But he did fantastic with it.
Yeah. And my best example of us not paying attention to portents. So at the very beginning of series 1, there's an adventure called Dead in the Water. We actually run the entire Dead in the Water, which is somewhat surprising, but I think we took 20 episodes to do that. So like 20 hours. This is a convention module that, like, in all seriousness, I love the module on account of the middle part actually has a ticking clock. You can only do so much stuff before bad things happen. And I was running with it, but the character interplay was great. And then, just like the very beginning of Series 2, Trouble Brewing's the adventure that you get in the back of the Edge of the Empire core book. And again, you can run this in like a 3-hour session. I think Trouble Brewing was 12 episodes?
The actual adventure is 12. I think we extended to 13 or 14 because of the like wrap up stuff. But yeah, it's it's like a dozen.
So when we came to this season, we have a single scenario, which is the players are forced upon a crashed ship and to explore that. That takes 4 episodes, which is great. But that's the entire reason why we didn't do a initial episode or initial prologue, because I wanted these characters to not have super amounts of experience, because every 2 episodes they're getting experience. And I was wanting there's a few set points in the adventure that I'm wanting to have a reasonable amount of experience on these characters, so that they're a little less powered. So, and we still have like Skip tranking out an entire squad of stormtroopers. We've got Kesh getting into a staff on blade battle with a NPC, and we've got Koba slinging fibro rings at everything.
She's amazing. If that's not enough of a commercial to get you to watch our listen to our show, fibro rings, they're a thing.
Actually, a fairly crucial thing throughout the entire first act.
Yeah.
Really funny.
They really are. They're not
I mean, I made good use of one.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just Koba.
Man, can you imagine Hillary with one of those?
No, Hillary doesn't fight.
Yeah, you got Hillary
Yet.
talking to people.
No, we should be asking Leslie is what about Kith with one of them?
Yeah, since she was actually trained in ranged light.
That also would be scary.
Nice.
Ooh, I
Especially
just
if you're
took a
with
point of
explosives.
ranged light. I can throw one now.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, no, throwing things. It's a lot of fun. Lots of stuff you can do. Hey, I throw things in the show. I throw things.
There's a potato.
Potato, yeah. I think I threw a stick.
Yeah, there's that too.
So this isn't a question that was submitted or anything, but I just in my head, just talking about the systematic stuff right now, I'm thinking. So as opposed to some of the other systems that we've played, this one is definitely more. Okay, I can't say that it's. I don't know how to word this question. I didn't write it down. It's in my head. It is a narrative dice system, so even though there are a lot of dice and a lot of stats and a lot of numbers and things to think about, it ultimately just brings you a framework for how you are going to describe a roleplay situation. I'm curious how you all sort of adjusted to that. Instead of like, oh, the dice just says I fail. Okay, I fail. As, okay, the dice says I fail, but with 2 advantage. And now I spend 15 minutes describing what that means.
I love it. I love that it's not just success or failure. I love that every roll of the dice has some kind of meaning behind it. It can help tell the story and lead to some of those glorious tangents, or get spent to help establish a character a little bit better, like finding a half-eaten donut on top of a telephone booth.
Right.
So gross, Cav.
I love this system. I love what all those funny symbols, like the stories they can help us tell, and that it never feels like your turn's wasted, because either you've made things better or you've made things
Symbols.
worse. But yeah, those are all the symbols right there.
Yep, I'm advertising.
I still have my cheat sheet underneath my monitor right here, which I still have to use because I'm just there's so many symbols.
It makes sense.
Well, I mean, I'm 4 years into this and I still misread dice routinely. So
It is absolutely an advanced dice system, but I find that, like Christine said, the amount of stories that branch from a single dice roll and the amount of things that can happen, like, it's the only system that I can think of off the top of my head that has a critical success and a critical failure that may not be tied into a success of the actual roll as a part of a single roll. Like, you can fail the check, get a critical success on something related to the check, and have something, a critical failure done on the same check, all from doing one thing. And that to me is really exciting. It's definitely something that takes a bit to get to explode past the binary of fail, success, or even the fail, or succeed with a cost, failure part of some other systems. Like, the amount of times where you're succeeding with a cost or failing with an advantage in Star Wars or the narrative dice system is phenomenal. so rarely does everything hit perfectly home. It's so unique, every single roll.
Because we are running out of time, I'm going to sort of jump down to some of our podcasting questions. What, if anything, do you do differently playing a TTRPG explicitly for recording instead of just for fun?
Not swear.
That's not me.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yep, that doesn't count for Leslie. It definitely counts for me. I have one just for fun game right now, and then several other shows I do, and in all the shows, I have to like have my filter on and behave myself and be a little bit better. And then the home game's a lot more
so hard being Christine.
Yelling at each other. What? I work in a press room. What do you want from me? So that's something different. There's also just there are more expectations when you're doing a recorded game. There's more focus. I find, well, maybe less so with us. Other shows I do.
Try.
Yeah, we tend to try to focus more on the story that we're telling, and because we're all investing time into it and need to achieve a certain amount of content by the end of it. There's also, I find, a lot more discussion about narrative beats and what characters are doing and how they interact, and a lot more stuff outside of it that factors in. All that said, most of those things, maybe minus the swearing, are lessons I can carry back over to a home game to make it better as well.
Yeah.
I take copious notes because in my home game I can be as inconsistent as I want because we're farting around in the universe, and everybody else is almost as patchy as I am memory-wise. But for Heroes, I want to maintain some consistency. I don't want to lose track of things, so I take a lot of notes to keep myself on track, and I review them shortly, generally before we start recording again, just to kind of bring myself back up to speed. I think for the show, I try to be aware of application of the dice rolls as well. So when you get that triumphant failure, I try to explore how that can work for a story thing. Like, I'm less cognizant of it than the people that are really good at teaching people to play the game, who have years of teaching people how to play these games. But it's something that, exploring how you can use an advantage in a situation when you've just missed shooting someone. Oh, okay, so I just missed shooting that person, but I set the scenery on fire, so now they have to move out of cover, stuff like that.
Now you understand why everything's on fire in my shows.
I don't know.
It's not my fault.
I mean,
most of the time it is.
It's David's fault.
Yeah.
I went the fire direction. It's 100% David because I was just reacting.
And really, it's Adam's fault for making you that gun.
Right?
Right.
I came after the David part, but
so I try to, and I'm saying that specifically because it's something we play FFG Star Wars in our college press games on Fridays, and some of these people came from D&D backgrounds. Some of them are still basically new to role-playing as a rule. Like, we've got a theater nerd who's a theater nerd. But, so he's into the acting, but he doesn't always know what to do with the dice. So it's fun to really explore what we can do with those advantages and successes and failures and threats and triumphs and despairs, which are all these things. And then kind of try and find ways to encourage him to explore his ridiculous dice rolls that he gets. It's kind of, farting around, yes, but directed to learn.
For you, Ben, so you've got, the podcast game, but you've also got some games that you GM that are not for public consumption. So
Correct.
What's the GMing difference like?
I'd say a bit more in prep because my home games are entirely improv. So there's no if we decide to go off on this wild tangent because Despair's rolled on an astrogation check and a Star Destroyer shows up, then the entire adventure can take a hard right turn, and we're now dealing with a Star Destroyer, and how do we deal with that? Whereas it's not going to happen in Heroes on account of we are following the plot of a published adventure. So the grand plot is out there set, but the way that we go through that is so varied that I've gotten feedback on previous seasons, and it's like, how did anyone how did you come up with all this stuff which is just not in the adventure, but it's still adventure adjacent? Or Freebo. I mean, so many people don't use Freebo.
Our
Like,
child.
You gotta adopt from Freebo. Come on.
Yeah. Like, well, Freebo is in trouble brewing. Technically, Freebo even has a Wikipedia article on them. That the actual one from the FFG adventure, which I think is 2 paragraphs long. The entire point is that he's mistaken the crew for another crew that his shipmates have pranked him on. It's like, yeah, new guy, go over and find that crew. You guys kidnapped and then adopted them.
We haven't done that yet this season. I think we need to. We need to find the person.
We're kind of close with Markov, but that wouldn't have worked well.
No.
Fair enough, but I don't think that would have.
Yeah.
That's all right. He would just go to open up his mouth, and might be Hulk punching Thor moments.
Yeah, but otherwise, in all seriousness, you haven't really had the opportunity in season 3 yet.
Wants to adopt the Tarvis.
I don't know. We did kind of take over an astromech in season 1 and found our kidnappee that way. So
yeah. Also, the bird planet. I'm going to where Act 2 takes the crew, which hasn't actually been revealed yet, at least to the public. That I really think Act 2 is where this crew that's been on a very tight direction is going to be able to grow, kind of like we've done in previous seasons, where it's just we've used the first act of an adventure instead of a completely separate adventure. And yeah, as a GM, it's having this stuff that I can read. I can get excited about bringing the side quests, like as an example from season 2, saving Flutterplume's parents and family from the slavers.
Save everyone.
Yeah, like that entire thing was like, it's in the adventure, but yeah, it's like half a paragraph.
So we unfortunately have to come to a close now because
Time.
So I am just going to ask everyone the same question. If you could cast a spell that would let you send a message of 20 words or less to the version of you immediately right before recording your first Hydian Way episode, what would it be? And then after you finish answering that question, say where people can find you online. Whoever's ready can go first.
I'm ready.
All right.
And if you need to correct me for mine, I have one very specific piece of advice and one slightly more open-ended piece of advice, and I wrote them down for myself.
All right.
So first of all, if we're talking to Leslie right before we record for season 1, fix your damn mic. The first 4 episodes for the show, I sound like I am on a tin can in the Adirondacks, under a waterfall, pedaling like a little spinning wheel.
Counterpoint though, present Christine would like to tell Leslie, don't fix your damn mic. So that's how you and I talked. I wouldn't have met Nicole if your mic wasn't busted.
But then I had the mic that smelled like you, and that was weird.
What?
Anyway, it smelled like you. Anyway, and then also play for fun. The hardest moments I've had on the show have been when I've been trying to play for a goal rather than being honest with who I am as a player. So, fix your mic, play for fun. Peace out.
And we can find you at LesLetGS.
Oh yes, and I'm at LesLetGS.
I did the you thing.
Yeah. I think for me, the advice I would give myself would be to either go bi-weekly or build in editing breaks. Because as a player, I think I'm very happy with everything I've done for the most part throughout the show, and I wouldn't want to like adjust those courses. But as an editor, it was a long haul, but almost 3 years straight of it, and I wish I had been a little bit like taking a little bit better care of myself.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I can be found on Twitter at 12th Night. That's 12th Night with a K. And you can again find my other podcast, Endeavor Through the Maelstrom, at Endeavor Show on Twitter or EndeavorShow.com.
With you.
With the U. Thank you, Ben. See, I'm used to Brandon doing this.
Ben's got your back.
Thank you.
I just keep remembering like the with a K thing, so mine would generally I've been happy with everything that's gone on with Heroes. Like remember that people are here to have fun is the primary thing that I would want to send back. That make sure that you're having fun, make sure that your players are having fun, and check in often. It's taken me a while to learn that, but I'm really liking the amount that we check in now. And you can find me on Twitter at deuteriumice.
And since I've
the Hydian Way.
I forgot I was supposed to answer this question myself, I wrote something down real quick. Just relax. These people will like you. Stick with it. It's going to change your life. You can find me at Atomic Firebird or on this here channel. Outro. Overlay was done by Just a Summer Job on Twitter. All the music that you heard in this was done by Kevin MacLeod, courtesy of the Creative Commons license. All of that stuff is in the show notes. And join our Discord. Next week,
it's a fun place.
We have on. I actually don't know the answer to that. Never mind. Scratch that part. Okay. And my outro is, just remember, you're never too old for make-believe.
Thank you.
Yay.
Bye.